This is Nddc Today.
Hello, nice that you join us. Yes, for the past couple of months, we'll be talking about the new management in the Nddc, and here and there they've been giving their pledges that they're going to tackle things in a slightly different manner because they pledged that they're going to make the real difference that the Niger Delta really needs. So, the first thing they told us was that they're going to start paying contractors when and how due. And we've been out there to, talk to some contractors and find out if the new management has been meeting up with its own words. And we find that that's been really relatively true. For the past 3 months, contractors have been attended to in a way that some of them are quite pleased. Of course, you can't please everybody. The new management has also pledged its revamping of the youth empowerment program in the Niger Delta. But most particularly, many people have been wanting to know who these new executives really are. Do they have the spunk to make a difference in the Niger Delta? What ideas have they brought on board? Thank goodness today we start a series of interviews with the executives. We start today with the Edfa, Dr. Chris Amadi, and next week the acting MD, Professor Edfa, and of course the week after the Executive Director of Projects. So, welcome to the Nddc Today. So, what has the new management of the Nddc got in store for the Nddc? Let's meet the Executive Director of Finance and Administration, Dr. Chris Amadi, who actually recently just got his doctorate degree in a finance-related discipline, making him ready for the onerous job of managing the finances of the Nddc. Chris Oyerinda Amadi is a conscientious and professional finance and development manager with over 17 years comprehensive experience in the financial sector with a good exposure in all sectors of the economy. Born April 1977, Chris Amadi hails from Rivers State. He holds an MBA in entrepreneurship, an MSc in finance and banking, and a BSc in Finance and Banking, all obtained from the University of Port Harcourt. Ethical, firm, candid, and insightful, Chris Amadi is a good listener and skilled communicator, a perfect team player, cum leader with the ability to motivate, inspire, and mentor, as many have attested. Prior to his appointment as Acting Executive Director, Finance and Admin at the Niger Delta Development Commission Nddc, Mr. Amadi had worked as a Chief Operating Officer at Gulf Pole Concerns Limited, 2013, Special Assistant on Finance to the then MD CEO of the Nddc, 2011 to 2013. Between 2005 and 2011, he was branch zonal head at Access Bank plc Port Harcourt and relationship manager and commercial banking group team leader, commercial banking at AfriBank plc, Legacy Assurance Bank Port Harcourt 2003 to 2005, and at EcoBank plc Port Harcourt and ABBA 2000 to 2003. He is a member of the American Certified Fraud Examiners, USA, member of the Institution of Strategic Management of Nigeria, and a fellow of the Institute of Chartered Economists of Nigeria, FCE. Chris Amadi is married with children. Mr. Chris Amadi, nice to meet you. Without wasting much more time, what vision does your new management have for the Nddc?
Our focus is to sustain the peace which President Muhammadu Buhari has already achieved within the region. It is obvious if you look at, before we came, there has been relative peace. So our focus is to sustain that peace, deploying all necessary strategy to sustain that peace. That is why some of the things I've told you are all geared to making sure we maintain peace in the region and ensure sustainable infrastructural development of the area, which is in line with the mandate of the Nddc.
Doc, one intractable problem that's always faced the Nddc has been the payment of contractors. Now, immediately you came into office, you said that your management was doing everything possible to make sure that contractors didn't come to the corridors of the Nddc to get paid, that they would get their alert in their homes. How has this worked out so far?
Upon our assumption of office, the Professor Nelson Brambaifa-led team thought it very necessary to address the issue of backlog of payment, because most of these projects have been completed. Some are at various stages of completion, yet the contractors who had verifiable certificates were not paid. And we thought that it was necessary to spread payments across the levels rather than concentrate on specific contractors, and ensure that as we pay them, they go back to site to complete. For those who probably have completed, we make sure we get them paid, and in the days to come, the MD would graciously go and commission most of these projects. Now, to get a contractor paid, there are things that you require. We need to have properly certified and verified certificates. We went through the entire hub of verification, and we revalidated the old certificates we found to ensure that these certificates are good enough for payment.
Edfa, there's been some speculations in some quarters that those who have done a lot of work in the projects awarded to them have not been paid. In fact, recently some threatened to go to the press. What's your take on this?
You're a pressman, and you know. I even had on radio last week. I was listening to a program by Funky 4. It was a call-in program, and I had people commend this team led by Professor Nelson Brambaifa. In fact, over 3 people called in saying that they received payments at home without coming to Nddc. In fact, 2 weeks ago, a man came to this commission outside, in expressing joy, was sharing money to people at the gate. That he came to appreciate the entire place. I didn't see the man, but I heard that somebody was expressing joy that he got payment without knowing anybody. Now, people need to understand that what we have as resources to make payments is not sufficient to pay the outstanding obligations we met. So we try to apply aging principle in our payments. We're looking at those debts that have been outstanding much longer, and we are coming down in that manner. So if we have, from whatever we have, we address in that portion. We have in excess of 500 billion outstanding unpaid IPCs for work done, and we don't have that resources right now, but as we receive monies, we pay. That's what we are doing. What we are saying is that we are making sure that everybody who genuinely does a job can actually estimate when his or her payment would come. Some of the things you used to hear in the past, I'm sure you don't hear them anymore. You're a pressman, you do investigative journalism. You can confirm, I know you can confirm that you don't hear those things anymore, not under this administration, not under our watch.
Edfa, it is speculated in some quarters that perhaps one of the problems of this backlog of unpaid debts owed contractors is the fact that some management came in and without clearing what they met, put more new contracts on top. and this has caused a backlog which is getting difficult to clear. Is your management going to avoid the mistake of, piling on new contracts when the old ones have not been cleared?
We're not awarding new contracts at the moment. Like I said, we've just been 2 months old. We've focused majorly on reducing the outstanding debts, contractual debts. That's what we're doing. And if we're obligated to award contract based on provisions in the budget, we may do that within the limits of what is allowable in the budget. But what I'm saying is, we are particularly, we are oblivious of the fact that people who have worked, a couple of people who have worked, they need to be paid. We are doing that. We're also aware that we need to develop our area. We're aware that we need the necessary collaborations, which we are doing with several multilateral agencies to also support what we are doing. I didn't mention this, we are in touch with ICRC with respect to some investors who want to involve in setting up modular refineries within the region, and Nddc is providing the enabling environment for that to take place. We're also thinking through a couple of ideas. We're hoping that can work. By the time we finish putting all that together, we'll come to federal government with some requests. It's possible we can also have Nddc participate with investors. So get into having oil license if it's possible. So we're thinking through a couple of things, and maybe when we get that sorted out, we'll put it out there, and we'll pursue it and see how that can help in increasing possibilities for revenues for Nddc and creating more employment and job opportunities for our people.
Edfa, what is the lot of all those handling mega projects? Are they all going to be exempted as well?
We are not only addressing the smaller payments, we are also addressing the mega project contractors. In fact, just this afternoon, the contractors handling Nembe Ogba Road, which had just been completed, Messrs. Cetraco. The team just left my office, and they were showing surprise that they got their payment without even knowing anybody here. And that is the way we want to go, and that's the way we are going. We have I concluded, the essence of the meeting was arranged for commissioning of that project. So the MD is desirous to commission the project, even though we think that there are a few spurs that need to be added to make sure the project addresses some other needs we identified in course of inspection. But the issue is that we are paying mega project contractors, we are paying medium project contractors, we are paying the small project within the limits of available resources.
Can you tell us what your management is doing to strengthen the foreign scholarship program, given the fact that, there's a lot of friction right now between the Commission and some universities in the UK?
We have our 9 other children who are on scholarship in various schools in the world. And upon resumption, we identified that there were issues in some of those relationships. So the MD is going to visit some of the universities to rectify those issues and make sure we strengthen that relationship of our scholars with our scholars and the universities where they are currently studying, because we identify the importance of proper skill set, which we think is what is required, is the next oil in the next generation of our people, and to actually leapfrog the kind of development we think we expect for the region.
It is your pet project, Edfa, that the Nddc collaborate with international partners. We know that you've been doing a lot in this direction already, but can you be more precise on the details of these?
Yeah, we're about 2 months old. We thought that it was necessary to clean up backlog, do some restructuring within the system for strategic planning. We had done that. The MD, upon resumption, we tried to do some structural changes, And we have also shared some ideas we have with management. We intend to ensure proper coordination of activities within the region. Beyond sharing those ideas, we've started a few things. We're engaging the multilateral agencies. We realize that what we have is not enough to address the need of our people. We cannot, Nddc as an entity alone cannot fund the developmental needs of the Niger Delta people. So it is imperative to, as much as possible, engage with other agencies, development partners in different areas and attract them to come to the region. So we have taken on that. We have actually met with some multilateral agencies, and we've gotten firm promises for partnership in different areas.
In the affair, as you well know, that the Nddc has been collaborating with international stakeholders before, or partners, as you put it. I mean, have you assessed how these partnerships have affected the Nddc and its project? And how are you going to do things differently?
You know, one thing is to think through a policy. The other one is to really follow through. So it's not about thinking through and saying it. Like the person who did the introduction said, my area is development. And development finance is about multilateral agencies. And I know the effect of such collaboration. And I believe that if we do what we have said we're going to do, the injection that it will bring into our economy would at least help reduce the restiveness we have. It also creates a plethora of other opportunities that we think can come to our people. What we think happened in the past was that maybe some of these things were just more of ideas, but they didn't have all the time and the deep thought to follow through. We're actually in an acting capacity, but we're working assiduously to follow through. We're in touch with, we're actually on invitation by the Mayor of Houston. We're meeting with the City of Houston. In that meeting, we're going to be meeting with investors from that area. And we're meeting with some universities from the same, that are in Houston. He's putting this set of people together, and hospitals and other investors. And we hope to pursue areas of collaboration and mutual benefit. If we're doing anything with any educational institution, the expectation should be mutual. So we could have linkage programs where at this moment we're actually funding scholarship programs. So we can actually move some of our scholarship students to some of their schools and expect some other things in return. So it's not just enough paying for our students on scholarship. Now we're trying to tie some kind of mutually beneficial relationship. Beyond seeking the education, we're hoping that we could get some other kinds of benefits in return, like instructional materials, linkage and exchange program for lecturers. We could have some of the lecturers come here, spend some time in some of our universities in the region in areas of need, and also have some of us go over there in research and other areas that we think will help our region. That's what I'm saying. We want to get real value for money. It's not enough sending students on scholarship. We want to see how we can leverage on those scholarship relationships and get other things in return in terms of education.
Not being so far from being a youth yourself, because the youth age has been raised recently, as you well know, and also someone who grew up in the Niger Delta as a youth and has come to the position you occupy today. What would be your advice to the youths of the Niger Delta?
My advice to the youths and the people of Niger Delta is to remain peaceful. There is life after oil. That's why we are pursuing knowledge. That's why Brambaifa and his team will be in the UK from Monday. to ensure that we tidy up relationships with our university partners abroad. We remain peaceful and get the right skills for the 21st century. Thank God we have a government that is supporting the region. We have a listening government who will try as much as possible to take advantage of the opportunity we have. And we believe that on our own part, we will continue to serve our people within the limits of our ability.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Executive Director of the Nddc, Dr. Chris Amadi, saying that the Nddc is meeting its obligations to its contractors and is paying them as it promised, that the new management has done what it can so far, and then also that the Nddc is ameliorating the situation with universities in the UK concerning the foreign graduate program. And they're going to do more. On collaboration, you heard him say, the Nddc is having a new approach to this in a way that these collaborations would be more effective. The EDFA Nddc next week will tackle the man himself, the acting managing director, Professor Brian Baefa, so you can see his plans for the Niger Delta.
Nddc, here to make a difference.
The NDDC. Is it touching lives and making the necessary impact?
What we can see now, today, we have a road.
In this hostel, we also have the supermarkets where students can come and get their stuffs, the bread, the provisions, soaps, snacks, and all that. So in this hostel, students are really happy here.
Yes, and everybody is happy. Since we don't get this water, make it no stop or make it continue like this, so we go happy.
Nddc, here to make a difference.
NDDC, determined to make a difference.
Knowledge is power, they say. The bane of developing nations has always been the lack of the technical knowledge to manage the technology to drive development. In the Niger Delta, the kind of technology needed to harness the oil resources is in the hands of the experts, and most experts are abroad. Now, the thinking of the NDDC is that if we can take our students to the same institutions that trained the experts who now come here to exploit our oil, then one day our own people can exploit our oil, manage it in a way that the Niger Delta can actually benefit from this strange resource. In the past couple of years, in fact since 2010, the NDDC has sent more than 1,411 postgraduate students abroad to study, to get that kind of rare technical knowledge needed to manage Niger Delta's resources.
The Niger Delta Development Commission (NDDC) is deepening its partnership with universities in the United Kingdom to enhance its human capital development programs. This was disclosed recently by the acting managing director of the Commission, Professor Nelson Brambaifa, when he led a team of the NDDC management on a working visit of some universities in the UK. Professor Brambaifa reiterated the NDDC's willingness to advance its foreign scholarship programs. He said that the visit to the UK was to find out the challenges the NDDC scholars were facing in their various institutions, with focus to resolving them, emphasizing that the visit afforded the NDDC management the opportunity to explore the prospect of deepening the relationship with the foreign universities and taking advantage of other mutually beneficial programs. The visit also afforded the NDDC management to interact with scholars benefiting from the Commission's Foreign Postgraduate Scholarship Scheme in the universities of Coventry, Derby, Salford, Birmingham, Hertfordshire and Huddersfield. The NDDC boss said that the delegation had a fruitful meeting with officials of the University of Coventry, as well as the International Centre for Transformational Entrepreneurship. He said the institutions identified 4 major areas which needed further collaboration in the scholarship program. According to the NDDC boss, there was an agreement for the establishment of specific master's level scholarships for best graduating students from universities in the Niger Delta region. Among the agreements are the establishments of a doctoral training center and establishment of platform for the promotion of innovation and enterprise. The fourth is the establishment of an e-library system which will allow researchers and scholars from the Niger Delta to have access to materials published from top journals and electronic databases. Professor Brambaifa and his team have since returned to Nigeria, and our reporter caught up with them at the Port Harcourt International Airport, where they spoke on the outcome of their visit to the United Kingdom.
Students have been neglected in Europe who are supposed to be sponsored by us. They've been neglected. I went to Coventry and Manchester to address them. That is there's a new sheriff in town. It's a new beginning. And I've told them they get their money next week. And I mean it. I'm a man of my words. They have been there all this time. Not even take-off grant was sent to them. Landlords are pushing them all over the place. Those are Nigerians like you. So I want to stop that. That's why I went out.
For the first time, from what we gathered, the visit, what is called monitoring and evaluation, was done at the highest level, where executives of the commission personally went on fact-finding to ascertain the extent of support we are getting from these institutions and get the proper feedback from our students. So in course of this visit, we were able to resolve some outstanding issues, some issues that were lingering before we came on board, and we also leveraged on the opportunity to create and foster new areas of partnership.
This is the first time an MD from Nddc and also an Executive Director of Finance have gone into the UK to visit any of our scholars. This is just to show them love, that they actually care about them, that Nddc cares about them and they haven't forgotten them, and all the fees, the living expense will be paid. So the kids are very happy. I think the outcome was great.
Thank you for watching. See you next week.